The Case of the Golden Idol was a hard review to write because of how similar it is to Return of the Obra Dinn. While it might just be me seeing it as, man, I wish I could replay Return of the Obra Dinn because that game is in my top 10. It's a big murder mystery, just like Return of the Obra Dinn. It deals with elements of a mystical nature, like Obra Dinn. You even get leeway with guesses so you can figure it out a bit easier, just like you get the point. So I'm going to do my best to avoid it because I guarantee if you stick around, which you should, like and subscribe and ring the bell and use code PLEORB at checkout to pay 10% more on your next purchase, I'm going to avoid talking about it as best I can. But I'm going to talk about it. So on its own merit, it takes place in the 1790s and follows a golden idol, and the murders that take place with it, and because of it, it's seriously probably more effort than it's worth. The number of people killed are probably in the hundreds if you want to assume behind the scenes stuff, since at one point there's like a 3-year gap and yada yada yada. There's a whole political party dedicated to like not having sex or reading, which is pretty much all I do, that being reading. The sex thing you can make an educated guess on. You don't have a character, just kind of an entity piecing it together in a journal, trying to find the steps that led to one's murder or the crime that happens in the background. And the first big issue is I don't feel like super duper intrigued, besides, you know, an innate curiosity. To be fair, there really wasn't any character with Obra Dinn, but in Obra Dinn you had a bit of background knowledge, you knew that you're an insurance investigator, and had to take a look at the ship because it just kinda showed up with literally everyone on the ship dead or missing. Meanwhile, in Case of the Golden Idol, you just kinda get like slasher film vibes where I just kinda want to see everyone die, except instead of teenagers, it's politicians and rich people. You're like a detective of sorts. It's just, I can't help but compare it to Return of the Obra Dinn. Every time you get a snapshot of someone like right after they died or right before they died, and you get like a little bit of the audio or what people say, you have to use it to piece together every single scene. You even have a bit of room to kind of finagle and just guess and check. It's so similar but just lacking. In Obra Dinn you have to go between certain memories of deaths to learn new clues. Meanwhile, in Case of the Golden Idol, I had to jump between cases a few times just to kind of cheat names of characters because I literally just forgot it. I think the best bit from Case of the Golden Idol, which I only briefly touched upon because I was on the disappointment train, was it had a little neat story going around with it, centered around the titular Golden Idol. The idol was an artifact of power found and used through several stories. It's a MacGuffin of sorts that drives the story forward, and most of the time is the reason folks get killed. I can't go too deep since I'd say it was the only quality with the game that has any major interest in. I think the story was interesting, at least it remained with a few twists and turns and surprises, with the main issue being that with all these twists and turns, the most obvious one is also the biggest one. Overall, I think the game was just, it was like brushing against greatness, just missing it every single time. It was so close to being something I'd heartily recommend to anyone, especially, you know, especially fans of Obra Dinn. I'd recommend playing it before you played Return of the Obra Dinn if you're looking to play the two. It was a good game, but sometimes you just get outshined in a few places and there's nothing you could really do about it.